This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
We will try to make this simple. The government shutdown is almost over. After 40 days, the Schumer shutdown, the Democrat shutdown, appears to be winding down as 8 Senate Democrats broke with their party leaders to vote in favor of a House-passed continuing resolution Sunday night, taking a major step toward ending the government shutdown. Who won? Who lost? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, I got a simple rule. Who is most upset? Who's real angry today? Well, Bernie Sanders is. Bernie, the biggest big pharma stooge, the man who's taken more money from healthcare companies, from pharmaceutical companies than anybody in the history of the Senate. He is angry. Harry Sisson's angry. Adam Schiff is angry. Don Lemon. Liz Warren, who's almost as big a big pharma stooge as Bernie Sanders. She's number 3 on the list of people who've taken the most money from pharmaceutical companies. They are all angry. They are pissed. They are calling it a surrender, a capitulation. And here's a simple way to look at it. What did Democrats get? As far as I can tell, nothing. They got butt kissed. They got zip. The people who were laid off, furloughed during the shutdown will be brought back. That's one thing. Apparently, they won here. But you know what they didn't win? That this does not extend Obamacare subsidies. There will be no subsidies extended. They'll continue to negotiate. But the deal that the Democrats accepted today on November 10th is the same as the deal they rejected on October 1st. Yes, 40 days later, they got the same deal that they could have gotten 40 days ago, which would have meant that none of those SNAP recipients would have starved. It meant nobody would have been laid off. There would have been no flights canceled or fewer flights canceled. There'd been no chaos in the sky. There'll be no TSA agents going hungry. But Democrats chose to shut down the government, as we explained, because they were counting on a couple things. First of all, they were counting on the media to do their bidding. That's the way it always works. When there's a government shutdown, the media immediately blames the Republicans. That's how it's worked in every other government shutdown. And then the public who's not paying close attention says, yeah, Trump did it. It's just so easy to manipulate the low IQ voters, which are also known as Democrats, to convince them that it's Trump's fault, because everything's Trump's fault. I was with someone the other night, a good friend, and she said, I don't know who to blame. I don't know who's at fault. It's too complicated. And I said, what? Let me clear it up for you. It's not complicated. It's really simple. Democrats shut it down for political reasons. They admitted they had leverage in this point. They could shut down the government, let the media carry their water, convince the voters that Trump did it, and people won't actually, read up. They won't look into the details. Well, I think after 40 days, people getting their flights canceled, people getting sick of this stunt said, wait a second, you chose to shut down the government so you could get health care for illegal aliens, so that you could get many of the goodies that were taken out of the big, beautiful bill, many of the wasteful programs. You want those reinstated. You want health care for illegal aliens. You want SNAP for healthy adults who should be out there working. That's why you shut down the government? So it wasn't complicated. It was leverage. It was politics. And here's the bad news, at least the way I look at it. It worked. I mean, it didn't work completely. They caved last night. They caved. Their base is pissed. But what happened 6 days ago? They won. They won big. They won in Virginia. They won in New Jersey. They won in New York City and in California. It was all politics. They wanted their base angry. They wanted them motivated, and it worked. They won the election. They won the governorships in Virginia and New Jersey. So now they can end it. It worked. They did this for politics. They did this for leverage. Hell, they admitted it. Get me that montage. We have a bunch of Democrats saying this was our leverage. We played you the clip from Catherine Clark, the minority whip from Massachusetts, admitting that it was our only leverage point. And one by one, Democrats admitted they did it because it gave them political leverage. This is it. This is why children starved. This is why TSA agents didn't get paid. The military didn't get paid. This is why they had their chance to, even though they're in the minority, to use the filibuster and hold the government hostage for political leverage. Check this out.
We need to do this while we have the leverage.
Of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer, but it is one of the few leverage times we have.
You reopen the government and we lose our leverage. There has to be an agreement right now. That's what this whole shutdown is about.
Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Frankly, this is our only moment of leverage.
The idea that you would give up all of your leverage and then hopefully get some sort of great deal coming down the pike is just a fool's errand.
Why are working families the leverage the Democrats need to get Obamacare fixed?
It's the only lever we have.
Democrats have this one little sliver right now when we've got some leverage here.
Some Republican senators have pushed a bill that would pay government workers.
I think that just gives the president more leverage.
Catherine was basically expressing, in her own words, the notion that our leverage right now are our votes.
Them wanting to solve the problem that we want to solve, but do it in a couple of days or a couple of weeks when we've given up our negotiating leverage.
Without that leverage, the minority party, would be stuck in the mud and not basically have anything to negotiate.
There you go. It was all about leverage. That's why today there are more than 1,500 flights canceled. That's why the average wait time, delay time at Newark Airport over the weekend was 3 hours and 45 minutes. People were going through hell. There's nothing. Hell have no scorn like a traveler delayed or canceled. It was all done so Democrats could have leverage. It was all done in an attempt to get Medicaid for illegal aliens. And hopefully people will see this. There's a few Democrats today, including Ro Khanna, who's everywhere, demanding Schumer step down. They want Schumer out as a minority leader in the Senate. And if you weren't cynical enough already, check out the 8 senators who voted with the Republicans to end the shutdown. None of them is up for re-election. Both senators in New Hampshire voted for this. The Angus King, the alleged independent, who's really a hardcore Democrat in Maine. John Fetterman, of course. None of them is worried about re-election, at least not in 2026. So they got 8 of them together to say, yeah, it's time to end the shutdown. Schumer came out and said he's against this and he's voting no. That's their leader. Their leader is against what's happening today because he lives in fear of AOC, because this old fool is concerned about his own re-election in whatever it is, 3 years. And so he's going to pretend that he's against this and say, this is wrong. I voted no. He doesn't mean it. It is just, this is the most cynical political inevitability that this was going to happen, that they were going to pretend that they're upset and angry, but they knew it was going to get worse and they couldn't risk Thanksgiving weekend with thousands of canceled flights. And they couldn't risk people, reading up, paying attention to see what was actually going on here. So big L for the Democrats. And here's Bernie. Bernie tweeted out last night, here's why I kind of knew right away that this was good for Republicans, because Bernie said it was a very bad night. Check this out.
Tonight, 8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by doubling, and in some cases, tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we are already paying the highest prices in the world for healthcare. Number 2, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily.
50,000 Americans will die. How predictable is that? Bernie Sanders, people will die if my friends in the healthcare industry, my friends in the health insurance industry, in the pharmaceutical business don't continue to get rich. He is the biggest fraud in Washington right there. I mean, there's a lot of competition for this, but there is no bigger fraud than this guy, an absolute stooge for healthcare companies, for pharmaceutical companies, pretending to be fighting for the working class, pretending that 15 million people will lose their health insurance. He knows that's not true, but this is what he does. He scares the low IQ voters. Hell, that's what they all do. Democrats do. They know that their core support, their most passionate supporters are morons, and they will believe them. And 50,000 people will die. They don't have to die. And I guess the struggle is real. I think the final straw was we saw on CNN the other night. You want to know how bad the shutdown got, for average Americans? Forget the flights canceled, forget the people losing their SNAP benefits. Yes, this CNN lady, who's a regular on there, she's a screaming lunatic leftist, explains that it got to a breaking point because she couldn't get her eyebrows done. Now, I have to confess, I didn't even know that was a thing. I haven't, maybe I should, but I've never got my eyebrows done. But this lady, she saw the real pain of the shutdown when she went to her eyebrow technician, and they said they might have to lay some people off. What does that tell you? That the shutdown, which people lost their SNAP benefits, and now they can't get their eyebrows done. Is that SNAP eligible? I'm not sure, but this is real. Check it out.
This is having massive impact. I went and got my eyebrows done the other day, and my eyebrow technician was like, they're going to fire 2 technicians from here because all of our clients don't have money to come. She's not on SNAP.
That's it. They're going to fire eyebrow technicians. Well, thank God. We can all rest easy today. You were concerned that maybe a plane would crash, that maybe we'd have a major disaster as the result of this shutdown. It's been averted. The TSA agents will get paid, air traffic controllers will get paid, and good Lord willing, the eyebrow technician for that lady on CNN will get paid, and we will avert the disaster of her missing her eyebrow. Do these people hear themselves? All right, that's we'll keep monitoring the situation. The House has to pass this. I think they will. I think the problem will be rectified before Thanksgiving. I hope Don Lemon and Harry Sisson will be okay. They're really angry, really upset, but I think they'll be okay. The shutdown is almost over, and we can focus on the real problems. I want to get to this because I swear to God, I've been out and about, talking to people. It's what I do. And the number one thing with people, at least my people, our people, recently has been the feud, the fight between 2 giants, Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. And I got to say, I know lots of people say this isn't helping the cause. That's Ben's big thing is we should be united and fighting the left and not the right. And that's true. But let's all admit we enjoy a good feud. There's nothing more entertaining than a good intra-media feud. And these are two giants. These are heavyweights. And they aren't holding back. They are going at it, and they're going at it hard. And I can't get enough of it, I'll admit. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone enjoys this. It was like it was radio gold when I was on the radio and there was a fight between two hosts or maybe competing hosts from different stations. People who say they don't enjoy this are lying. I know it doesn't help the cause, but we don't have an election for at least a year. So it got heated, and I have to give, and to me, I'm a Tucker Carlson guy forever. I'm never going to give up on Tucker. He has lost his mind in many ways. And I will say this, it's working. He's got huge numbers. His audience is loyal, and they're listening to him like me. And I disagree with many things he says. He's turned hard on Israel. He had Nick Fuentes on his show. If you missed it, it was amazing. Nick Fuentes is a Nazi who is absolute scum, as Charlie Kirk called him. He's vermin, and he is. He's a 27-year-old neo-Nazi who gets a charge out of just saying the most offensive things. And he does, and I guess it works for him. He's got millions of followers on Rumble and other platforms. And Tucker put him on his show, and he got a lot of heat for platforming him. I want to be clear here. There's nothing wrong with platforming somebody. I don't even know where that word came from. But people have, John Miller from ABC, at least he was at the time, I believe, he went into a cave and platformed Osama bin Laden. 60 Minutes platformed Klansmen. You interview these people, but you don't legitimize them. You ask tough questions, and Tucker didn't do that. As Shapiro points out, Tucker was tougher on Ted Cruz than he was, much tougher on Ted Cruz than he was on Nick Fuentes. And I was shocked. Nick Fuentes said on Tucker's show that he loves Joseph Stalin. It shocked Tucker. He was kind of like, what? But he didn't push. He didn't follow it up. He didn't say, what are you talking about? He did not go hard at Nick Fuentes. So, of course, Ben Shapiro and others attacked him for that, and well, they should. And I will say this. I like all these guys. They're good. Megyn Kelly, she's great. She's huge star, huge. Her podcast is huge. And generally, I really like what Megyn has to say. But man, she does not come out of this looking good. She defends Tucker. She's a good friend of Tucker. She's a friend of Ben Shapiro. And she has Shapiro on. She had back-to-back nights. She had Tucker on one night. And man, did he go off the rails. We'll get to that. And then she had Shapiro on the next night. And again, Shapiro doesn't hold back. He knows friendships aren't the important thing here. The job is, that's their job, to call out people and call and push back against people, when they say things, when they do things like give Nick Fuentes a soft landing space, a soft landing place. That's what Tucker did, unfortunately. Again, I'll still listen. I'll still give him the benefit of the doubt. It is fascinating what has happened to Tucker. And the one thing people get wrong, and we'll get to Mark Levin, is that it's hurting Tucker. It's not. His show is huge. People are listening. He is the ultimate contrarian. I'm not sure his motivation. I'm not sure if he just had a moment where someone pissed him off, whether it was Ted Cruz or some Benjamin Netanyahu, but he made a real pivot on Israel and started calling it genocide and everything else, sounding, no different than Zoran Mondani, who, by the way, he has not criticized. We can get to that. But here's Ben Shapiro on with Megyn Kelly, just not holding back, not playing nice, not saying, yeah, we're all friends here. Screw that. He goes hard at Tucker, and he's right. Go ahead.
If I see somebody breach basic moral values by having on a Nazi, and in my own view, you can take your own view, in my own view, gloss the Nazi, then I'm going to speak out about that. And I'm going to point out that there is a long pattern of him ideologically laundering terrible ideas over the course of the last 2 years, ranging from traveling to Russia to sniff the bread and explain why the Russian regime is actually wonderful, to saying last week that the Venezuelan regime of Nicolas Maduro is actually not that bad because they're being attacked by, in his words, globo homo.
Tucker's made the point, I'm not going to here to be Tucker's defender, but he's made the point that Maduro is culturally conservative.
Who gives a shit? The guy's a communist dictator. Everyone in his country is eating dog. He's shipping fentanyl to the United States to kill Americans. Why do I give a shit whether he's anti-LGBTQ rights? This is the number one thing about Nicolas Maduro. You know how far down the list you have to get before you can get to anything remotely recommendable about Nicolas Maduro?
I did ask him yesterday about the criticism that he didn't give Nick Fuentes a hard time, right? He didn't bring up the stuff that we've been talking about. No, he didn't. And here's what he said. It seemed to think that we've way overstated the number of Jews killed in the Holocaust. He's ripped on poor Usha Vance in the most offensive terms, which I mean, so what do you say to those people who say, why didn't you raise any of that?
You know, do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I mean, I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him and go sit and yell at him and feel virtuous or whatever. That's up to you.
That's not a defense. I'm sorry. That's not a defense. And again, when Tucker was on Fox, he was the biggest star. It wasn't just appointment viewing. During COVID, it was therapy. People watched him because he was this voice of reason. He pushed back harder than anyone. He was just spectacular during that. And he has his moments now, but Shapiro does just a brilliant thing here. He has his team. God, I wish I had a team. Go back and look at his show and Tucker's show for the last month before the election of Mamdani. And the people saying, you know, we need to unify and push back against the left. He said, yeah, good, we should. In the last month before Mamdani's election, Tucker mentioned him once, and it was to praise him. Mamdani, in a debate in the primary in June, in the debate, Mamdani was asked if he could visit any other foreign country, what would he visit? And all the other candidates said Israel or wherever. They said, and Mamdani said, I wouldn't go anywhere. I'm here in New York. I'm running for mayor of New York. It was a good answer. I'll give him credit. You know, he was good in these debates. And that's the only time Tucker mentioned Mamdani. And Shapiro said his team went back and looked, and he mentioned him 47 times, as I did. It was a big story. It was kind of your obligation to point out that this radical Muslim Marxist was going to be the next mayor of New York. And Tucker just avoided it for some reason. I guess we go back to Israel. I will say, though, the thing that bugged me the most about this battle, and there's a lot there, but again, I love Megyn. She does a great job. This phase of Megyn Kelly's career is just so great to watch. She is smart and articulate, and she swears, which I love. She attacks. She's great 99% of the time. This is not one of those times. Ben Shapiro brings up Candace Owen, and we've talked about Candace, who's absolutely gone off the rails. Candace Owen has literally blamed TPUSA for the murder of Charlie Kirk, their guy. She has implicated Erica Kirk and Mikey McCoy and all the other TPUSA people who have been devastated by the death of their friend and their leader. And Candace Owen goes on her show and says, it was an inside job. We played it last week. She literally says, they killed Charlie. It's the most insane thing. And as I pointed out last week, her show is huge. I think the only one bigger than Candace Owen is Megyn Kelly on the right. I mean, she gets millions of views, and she's insane. And it's not just good content, but it's almost an obligation that you call her out, that you point out that this leader, this commentator, this podcaster, is insane. Shapiro asks why Megyn Kelly doesn't do this, why she doesn't call out Candace Owen, and this is just the worst answer I think I've ever heard. She says, "Not my business." What? I'm sorry, Megyn. It is your business. It is incumbent on you. You talk about everything, and you do it brilliantly. Why do you avoid Candace Owen? I understand you don't want to criticize Tucker because you're good friends. I mean, you made it clear you're best of friends. You love the guy. And I understand why you want to go easy on Tucker. I understand. Why? Why do you want to give Candace Owen a pass? This makes no sense. Check it out.
And I don't think Tucker cares about people attacking him. I mean, like, again, we're professionals. We're in a business where people comment on what we say publicly. But, again, this is why I think you and I differ on our angle with regard to, for example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what? Because like I don't opine on whether it's evil or not. But my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch.
No, I believe you. I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that when
what I
friendship should not, in our business, I think it's important. Listen, friendship should not trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't totally disagree, but I think the way of handling that, at least for me,
that is unbelievable to me. I'm sorry. You don't know what Candace Owen has said? She's not, whatever she said, king, queen of the internet? What? I mean, she's not friends. She doesn't know her. She says, so why not criticize her? Why not play that? Nobody stays on top of the news like Megyn Kelly. Nobody. Again, she's got a big team. Must be nice. She's got producers. She's got people that see all the clips and send it to her. She does 2 podcasts a day. She is absolutely aware of everything. It's amazing sometimes. Hell, I listen and I jot things down and say, man, she doesn't miss anything. And she missed that when Candace Owens said Charlie Kirk was murdered by TPUSA people. It was an inside job. She said it repeatedly. It's kind of a big deal. And it's kind of what we do. We comment on things like that. And she said, I'm not aware. It's none of her business. And then she defends Tucker for going harder at Cruz than he did at Fuentes by saying Cruz is a politician. That's different. Huh? Why is that different? Nick Fuentes is a hugely influential young guy and a lunatic and a Nazi who loves Joseph Stalin. I think you got to attack that guy. I think even Tucker might agree with him on some things, but like I said, he was shocked when Fuentes praised Stalin. Well, call him out. No one's better at that than Tucker, but for some reason, he was reluctant to do that. We're going to get to this too, the most insane thing. And trust me, I listen to everything, watch everything Tucker does. He's brilliant. He has the most insane moment in this show with Megyn Kelly, where even I was like, where is this coming from? He's fascinating because he could play it safe. The show would be huge no matter what. He'd still be making a fortune. He'd still be making news, but he has chosen to just go down a path of just the ultimate contrarian is what he's become. We're going to get to that. And Mark Levin, that's another one of Tucker's feuds, calls out Tucker and refuses to debate him, which I don't like. They should debate. That would be just appointment viewing. It would be great content, Tucker versus Levin, but it looks like it's not going to happen. We'll get to that. And the details of this Major League Baseball story. We got two more guys who are shaving points, essentially, who are rigging pitches. I think this case is going to be big. It's not going to be the last one. It's certainly not the first one. But this looks like the end of prop betting to me. We'll get to that and much more. But first.
Excuse me.
If there's something all of us can believe in, it's hard work, self-reliance, and showing up for the people who count on us. You know, kind of like President Trump, just going hard 24/7. The difference is Donald Trump doesn't need sleep. You do. I do. It's the most important thing to good health. I was in a horrible cycle that had no end in sight. I knew I had to find something to break me free of that cycle. That's when I found Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values: hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-based ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, and melatonin. Here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off. Try their best-selling green powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. So with my discount code Gerry, G-E-R-R-Y, you can get the best-selling dream powder for just $39. Go to shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry for up to 40% off. Here are the latest podcast ratings charts, the chart of the news podcasts. Like I said, they're all huge, but the New York Times, number one, Pod Save America, number two. Those guys, they're just devastated by this end of the shutdown. But Megyn Kelly has the number one rated conservative podcast. She's at number 4. Then Candace Owen at 6, Tucker Carlson at 7, Ben Shapiro at 9. Where's my guy, Matt Walsh? He's the best. He's number 22. These guys are all big. Tucker's huge. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to this. Would he be just as big or bigger if he hadn't flipped that switch and just gone totally anti-Israel and just bought into these conspiracies? He's defending Nicolas Maduro. Hell, he's denying Christians are being murdered in Nigeria. He's just taking the contrary position on all these big issues and going at Shapiro and Levin, and it's working. I mean, people are listening. People are subscribing. So I'm not sure if he's. I don't think he's doing this for ratings. I think he'd get big ratings either way. I think he's just feeling liberated. They often say, these guys, when they get away from the big company and they go on their own, they can be themselves. And that's certainly true with Megyn Kelly. Like I said, she goes on these great rants where she's dropping F-bombs. And I say, that's the real, Megyn Kelly, it's the real person. And it works. Tucker, I guess this is the real person. He's an odd guy. And he goes on with Megyn Kelly and he's explaining his epiphany. He started reading the Bible 2 years ago. He's become very openly Christian. He attacked Christian Zionists when he was on with Dave Smith, said that he hates them more than anybody. And then he apologized for it. He attacked them when he was on with Fuentes. Then he went on with Smith and said, I shouldn't have done that. So that's good. He was being honest. He said he went too far. He was mad. He lashed out and he shouldn't have done that. But he continues to spend most of his time attacking conservatives, Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and anybody, Randy Fine, anybody who's pro-Israel. But here's a moment that even I, as a Tucker fan and certainly a guy who's consumed just about all of his content, I've read his books, watched like every Fox show he ever did. He talks about being attacked by demons in bed and being clawed by demons. And he believes it was real. It was some supernatural experience while he was in bed with his wife and 4 dogs. He is holding nothing back. I'll say that. He is hiding nothing. This is what he thinks actually happened to him one night. Demons attacked him. Check it out.
and then I go to bed with my wife and 4 dogs who sleep in the bed. My wife said 4 children. My dogs are hunting dogs. All 5 of them wake up like that. Like we have no home invaders in my house. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning. I check and I couldn't breathe at all. My throat was closed. It wasn't like I was apnea or was strong as I couldn't breathe. So I get up, I stand in the doorway of our bedroom, and I'm like, wow, I'm dying. I could feel myself starting to gray out. And then I started walking in the backyard, and then it slowly came back. Like my throat kind of opened up a little bit. I was like really weirded out. I walk back in, and my wife wakes up. She goes, what is going on? I said, I don't know. I can't breathe. I feel better now. And all of a sudden I had this horrible pain underneath my arms, like on the side of my chest, like bad. I thought I'd been like ripped with a knife or something. It just was very intense. So I go into the bathroom, I flip on the light, and I have claw marks on both sides, on right and left side on my ribs, and they're bleeding. And they're literally claw marks, 4 on either side. I put my fingers in them, don't fit my fingers, and I sleep on my side. So how could? And by the way, no one woke up. So I show my wife, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I have this like crazy intense desire to read the Bible. So I read the Bible, and I pass out in like 2 minutes, and I wake up, and the next morning I thought, "Man, did I have a wild dream?" And then I see blood in my sheets, and I go in the bathroom, and I have these bloody marks. And my wife goes, I think you were attacked by some supernatural being. And I was like trying to be logical about it. I was like, yeah, I definitely was. And then I called one of my producers who's like, oh yeah, that's pretty common. I was like, what? And I've had a couple other experiences.
He was attacked by demons, although there were 4 dogs in bed. So I would like to know if any of those dogs left those claw marks. But hey, demons are real, according to Tucker.
4 dogs is a bit much, I would say.
What's that?
I said 4 dogs is a bit much for a bed.
4 full-grown dogs. I hope it's a king-size bed, but he loves his dogs. And so maybe they didn't claw him. Maybe it was a demon. Maybe Nancy Pelosi made his way into her bed, as some of us just suggested. But that was wild. Here's what I want. I want Tucker to debate. I want Tucker versus Mark Levin. That would be so big. Tucker versus Ben Shapiro. One-on-one. Debate Israel. Debate Venezuela. Debate the issues of the day. They're all brilliant. Tucker's a great debater. I don't know why he doesn't want to fight. Like, he used to do it every night. He had Adam Schiff on his show. He had Eric Swalwell on his show, and he totally undressed him. It was great stuff. Here's Mark Levin saying Tucker called him recently after they've been attacking each other viciously and said we should debate. Levin doesn't want to. Shapiro does. So maybe instead of Levin, he can debate Shapiro, put it on both their shows and let us all watch. It would be huge. It would break the internet if those guys went head to head, one-on-one. You could have a moderator if you want or not. Just do it in front of a big crowd like Megyn had. Put him in a big arena. It would be awesome content. But here's Mark Levin explaining that Tucker reached out to him, which I found surprising because he has just been dumping all over Levin. And Levin says, Tucker's using him for his audience, which is ridiculous. But this would be great stuff. And unfortunately, Levin doesn't want to do it. His Mark Levin explaining Tucker making this offer and how he responded. Go ahead.
I got a very strange text this morning from Tucker Carlson, 10:16 a.m. I'll read it to you for verbatim. Good morning, he writes to me. The leadership at Turning Point has asked me to debate you at their event in Scottsdale in December. I'm happy to do it, and I hope you'll agree as well. Beyond the personal insults, which I'll try to keep to a minimum, there are real and important ideological differences between us, and I think the country would benefit from an extended conversation about them. So again,
yes,
I hope you'll accept. Let me know. Thanks. The guy is desperate. He's taken a hit on his podcast. He's fighting like hell for his career. He's fighting like hell for his reputation. People are awakening to what scum he actually is. And he thinks I'm going to platform him. He thinks I'm going to help him kick up his podcast ratings. What would Charlie say? What would Rush say? What would any rational response? Here it is. I wrote him the following. My family and I want nothing to do with you. What you've become, your vile libels against my faith, millions of Christians, and in my view, what you seek to do to our country. There's nothing to debate. You're a Nazi promoter. You're the modern day David Duke. I debate people with whom I disagree for a living, who are a lot smarter than you, but for whom I have some respect. I'm also disappointed in TPUSA that continues to platform you. It's not about free speech. You could be heard by millions regardless. Some unsolicited advice. Stop long enough to remember who you used to be and what you used to stand for. So, as expected, knee-jerk. For the record, I'm strongly anti-Nazi. Does he sound that way to you, America? Oh, you're going to hear more. But that's hardly the point. This seems like the perfect opportunity to rebut what you consider evil ideas and to do it to my face like a man. I think you'd jump at the chance, assuming you believe your positions are defensible. I'm offering the marketplace of ideas you often talk about. Is it possible you can't really defend, for example, what Israel has done to civilians in Gaza? I said, there you go. You're not feared, you're despised. Well, you're a coward. And if you change your mind, I'm here. Thanks.
Well, change your mind, Mark. Change your mind. Great one. I mean, he's right. He debates people for a living. So why not debate the biggest challenger you got out there? That would be so good. Hell, Tucker should challenge Shapiro and Levin. Do it at the same time. That would be the biggest podcast numbers we have ever seen. And I hope he does change his mind. But you know what? Tucker's not going to change. He's not going to back down. He's going to continue to go after these guys. And I'll give Shapiro credit. He's right. Friendship has nothing to do with this. Old relationships have nothing to do with this. These are the issues of the day, the issues that matter. And they disagree vehemently. So let's have it. We all love a good fight. Let's be honest. You listen to a podcast where, like Pod Save America, we have four guys sitting around drinking, agreeing on everything. Who wants that? We want this. We want this battle. We want this fight. So let's get it done. All right. We got so much more to get to. How much time do I have? Let's get to this. Cleveland Guardians, Cleveland Indians pitchers. This story is incredible. It got lost kind of over the weekend, a lot going on, NFL Sunday. But this is bigger than the NBA gambling scandal, and I'll explain. It's wild. Here is from CBS Sports. Cleveland Guardians closer Emmanuel Clace and right-handed starter Luis Ortiz have been indicted on charges stemming from gambling misconduct, specifically manipulating bets on individual pitches. We always thought that someone would rig a game, throw a game, shave points. Did you ever think it would be this easy to win a bet, to conspire with others, to beat the house? Well, here it is. They announced these charges Sunday. Ortiz was arrested at Logan Airport. Clace is not yet in custody, but he will be. Clace's actions date back to May of 2023. Ortiz began in June of 2025. Clace actions benefited bettors by a sum of $700,000, while Ortiz accrued to the benefit of co-conspiring gamblers for $60,000. I just looked it up real quick. Clace makes $6.5 million a year, and he's conspiring with gamblers for, what did I say, $700,000. The other guy, Ortiz, for $60,000. Check out the allegations. The indictment chronicles specific instances in which the pitchers are alleged to have manipulated outcomes in collaboration with bettors. On or about May 19th, 2023, bettors made $27,000 on one Clace pitch that was faster than 94.95. So the over-under on the speed of his pitch was 94.95. He conspired with a bunch of gamblers to throw it slower than that. And he did. And they made 27 grand. June 3rd, 2023, a couple weeks later, bettors made 38,000 on a Clace pitch that was slower than 94.95 and called a ball. June 7th, 4 days later, bettors made 68,000 on a Clace pitch that was slower than 94.95 and called a ball. April 12th, 2025, bettors made 15 grand on a Clace pitch that was slower than 98.45 and called a ball. The next day, Clace was alleged to have asked one of his co-conspirator bettors to whom money on April 12th pitch was send it to the DR, which is his home, the Dominican Republic, for repairs to the country house. This guy is throwing pitches, rigging pitches for 15 grand to repair his house. A guy who makes 6.4 million. Here's the video of some of the pitches. I mean, talk about morons. You thought you could get away. It's all on video. We get to look at that pitch. He throws it. It goes about 45 feet and bounces. These aren't even close. They weren't even subtle. Look at this. This is airtight. I know innocent till proven guilty, obviously, but what's your defense? They have texts between the pitchers and the bettors, and he's literally telling them where to send the money. My favorite one was there was a pitch that was supposed to be a ball, and the batter swung. It was out of the strike zone. I think you might have had that on them. Yeah. They bet $4,000 on a pitch from Clace on May 28th. There would be a ball. The pitch appears to be out of the strike zone, but the batter swung and missed. The indictment reads, approximately 20 minutes after Better I lost the wager, Better I sent a text message to Clace with a man hanging himself with toilet paper. Even though the Cleveland Guardians won the game, 10 minutes later, Clace responded with a gif of a sad puppy dog face. So he did what he had to do. He threw a ball, but the batter swung, and the gambler lost $4,000. This is incredible. And I don't pay close enough attention. I didn't know, well, first of all, you could do this. Bet whatever, 20 grand on the speed of a pitch in a June game of the Cleveland Guardians. How is this? How did we not see this coming? This was inevitable. This sounds so easy to manipulate. And, you know, these guys, as we said with the NBA guys, they're just addicted to the juice. And they're saying, boy, that's easy money. It is, but it's also easily provable that you did this illegally. These guys are going to prison. They're facing decades in prison. These two guys, their career's over. They were already put on the shelf because MLB knew about this and cooperated. But they're going to prison. These guys are going to prison for throwing slow pitches for 10 grand to repair the country house. Actually, they're going to prison for being absolute morons who somehow thought that they wouldn't get caught. They're not the first. They won't be the last. It's too easy. I don't think the MLB or NBA has a choice. They can't allow, they can't, they have to come out against prop betting. It's just too easy to manipulate. So far, we've got the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL is next. That's why the NCAA doesn't allow prop betting, because it's too easy, especially some college kid who doesn't make $6 million a year. But this is a huge scandal, and this is what they get for laying down with the gambling companies and acting as if it was just, part of the fun. There's no good that comes from this legalized betting. I mean, I understand we're in too deep, and cities and states are making real money with the revenue with their cut. But this is compromising the integrity of the game, and players are involved, and it is just too easy. This trial or whatever, this case is going to get real ugly for Major League Baseball. All right, speaking of ugly, before we go, let's get to the Washington Redskins game yesterday. Donald Trump showed up, did a little play-by-play. This is the first time a sitting president has attended a regular season NFL game since 1978. Jimmy Carter. I believe it was the same day as the Bucky Dent home run to beat, at least that's what the announcer said, but whatever. It was 1978, October, when Jimmy Carter went to a game. I'm not sure why no president's ever gone to a game. Trump is working to get a new stadium in Washington. Rumors are that he wants it named after him. The announcers didn't even ask him that, which is credible. But Trump's, here was the big takeaway from liberals, Democrats online, is that Trump was booed, and he was. He was booed while swearing in military people over the loudspeaker. So he's honoring these military personnel who are re-upping or joining, and the crowd boos. Again, this is Maryland. This is D.C. They hate him in D.C. because lots of these people have been furloughed, or some of their friends have been fired, or whatever. You know, they're still upset about Doge. So they boo him not while he's, just showing up or flying over, but while he's swearing in military people. This is disgusting. Go ahead.
Support and defend the Constitution of the United States. All enemies.
They boo the military, but that's D.C., That's the way it is in D.C. That's why they showed up for Abigail Spanberger. That's why 1.7 million people in D.C. voted for an attorney general who wants to murder his political opponents. These people are just really, really angry and seething with hatred for the commander-in-chief. But Jim Acosta, speaking of former cable news people who are now podcasting, you got your Tucker Carlsons and Megyn Kellys who are doing great. Then you have this loser who's just screaming out for relevance. Jim Acosta, who was on CNN for years and now shows his true colors online and on his podcast. This is the dumbest thing I saw over the weekend. He writes, Trump presided over the longest and most mean-spirited shutdown in American history, harming countless federal workers who were forced to seek out food banks to feed their families. Damn right they're booing. Trump is despised across the DMV. So the people, according to Jim Acosta, the people you just heard booing Trump were forced to seek out food banks to feed their families. So they're broke. But they went to a Redskins game, which could be the most expensive ticket in the league, in the country. And, they drank $20 beers and ate, $18 hot dogs. But they were mad because Trump starved them. They were forced to go to food banks. God, Jim, do you hear yourself? Do you understand how silly you sound? Yeah, you nailed it, Jim. They just can't eat. That's why they're at a Redskins game, because they don't have food. What are these people going to do without starving children? They didn't lose their SNAP benefits. We still have 42 million people, most of whom are fraudsters, as we learned. That's another revealing, kind of eye-opening thing we saw in the last 40 days is the utter corruption of the SNAP program. Healthy people, obese people crying because they don't have food. They're starving. God, it's just ridiculous, just silly. But Trump was did a little play-by-play, and they showed something I'd never seen before, the picture from his high school football team. Trump is in the back row, number 85, a tight end, and of course, he took a shot at his quarterback, said he couldn't throw 10 yards, so he didn't have a lot of catches. I don't think they were throwing the ball a lot in those days. But also on the NFL, I'll just say it. I want to be the first to say it, Ironhead. The Patriots are going to win not just the division, they're going to win the AFC. They're going to finish with the top seed. That's my prediction. And I'm probably, acting irrationally after seeing their them win 7 in a row. But if you look at their schedule, the New England Patriots can seriously win out. They will be favored, I will say, in just about every game they have left. They have the Jets Thursday night, Bengals, Giants at home, Bills, but the Bills are at Foxborough, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. Why can't they win out? Why can't they go 15-2 and get the top seed? The Bills got crushed by the Dolphins yesterday. Patriots have a great young quarterback and a really good coach, as we saw yesterday in Tampa. Do you think Tony Romo pointed that out enough, that the Patriots and the Bucs are well coached? Romo, I like Romo. He tells you things you don't know. But man, there are just no guardrails with Romo. He just blurts things out and repeats things and says a lot of goofy things. And he pointed out over and over again how well coached they are, and they are. They had 1 year of a DEI hire last year. Now they have a real coach and a really good quarterback. Patriots, I'm going to make my prediction. They're going to go 15-2, win, get the number 1 seed, and go to the Super Bowl, where they will face the Seattle Seahawks. That's my prediction for today. You can hold me to it, but it was a pretty entertaining NFL day, and man, is Drake May a stud. All right, that will do it for today. Day 40 of the shutdown, apparently the last day of the shutdown. I just looked, there's over 1,000, there's over, 1,600 cancellations and like 5,000 delays today. That's why the shutdown's over. People are angry and they're waking up, and Democrats had to end it. They had no more leverage. So good. Shutdown is over. We can move on. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from